Yes, newborn vegetable garden. Not a parent of anything else yet. Milestones in our lives never seem to happen on agendas, do they? Things like births, deaths, promotions, unexpected discoveries and losses, they happen in unexpected, unscheduled moments in our lives. And yet, as human beings, as the social creatures that we are, it's those moments that we so desperately want to share with each other, isn't it? At the same time, however, we have never had more things vying for our attention as human beings. Advertisers recognize this quite clearly, as illustrated in this slide. There are very few moments that I can think of in which we don't have multiple sources asking for our attention. Our phones, texts, emails, YouTube videos of kittens playing with hedgehogs, they all want our attention. And that's why we're forced to hunker down, close our office doors, put on headphones, and try and be productive. We have to minimize distractions in any way that we can. And that's also why a picture like the one that's about to come up might make your blood pressure rise a little bit when you think of someone taking your valuable time for themselves. The pace that our world moves at and the constant barrage of distractions causes us to streamline our lives as much as we possibly can. Marketing guru Seth Godin recognized this and talked about it in his book, Permission Marketing. He talks about a concept he calls interruption marketing, which is simply trying to be louder than the competition. And he says this doesn't work anymore. He says 30 years ago, people gave you their attention if you simply asked for it. You'd interrupt their TV program and they'd listen to what you had to say. You'd put a billboard on the highway and they'd look at it. That's not true anymore. He goes on to say that the answer for organizations today is to get consumers to volunteer their attention, to raise their hand, and start a relationship with you with an exchange of information that happens. You might be asking yourself how this applies to community. How is this relevant to Cambridge? Well, I think it has everything to do with our city. But before we maybe explore some answers, let's reiterate the question. Let's make sure we understand the problem. On the one hand, we're social creatures that want to share these moments in our lives that supersede calendars. But on the other, we've never been more busy with more things needing our attention every single day. So what is the answer? I think the answer is interruptibility. I would love to be able to define the word interruptibility for you, but it's not a real word, so I can't. But we can forge a definition together here in Cambridge. Let's take it upon ourselves. How do we start doing that? Well, I think one way that we can start is by looking back and in the example of history. I love classical city squares. They were designed to push people together so that they could share life and share stories. That's why people came to a place like the city square, to share life with people. And as Wendell Berry says, community exists only when people know each other's stories. Wendell is so right here, as he so often is. Another thing we can do, take an example from America's favorite neighbors. Tim and his neighbor Wilson. The irony is we never see Wilson's face, and yet he and Tim share this beautiful intimacy over the fence in their backyard for years and years, and we all got to enjoy that at 5:30 Eastern Time. My wife and I got to share, or are getting to share, a similar experience with the construction of our new vegetable garden, which has given us these opportunities that we've never had before to interact with our neighbors all over the growth of new little seeds. It's been a really cool thing for us. Douglas Conant, a businessman, says every single interaction is rife with the potential to become the high point or the low point in someone's day. But that option is ours, I think, and we have to choose to give people the chance. Maybe something you could do, like Marin said, is go for a walk without a destination in mind. For some people, this is a very novel thing. But with no destination, you can be up for whatever happens along the way. And oftentimes, really beautiful things happen along the way, and new relationships start. Or, even weirder for some people, maybe go to the library and don't put headphones in, but be open to sharing your literary passions with someone else. Isn't that a novel idea? Maybe you'll get a new book out of the exchange. Let's put our own definition on interruptibility tonight. Let's make it a willingness to make space in our lives to share in the unexpected moments of others. And when we actually do that, the cool thing is interruptions, instead of becoming a nuisance, become part of the fabric that weaves our community together. And all of a sudden, they're not really interruptions anymore. They're just part of life. Thanks.